All right, here we are getting started. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having a good Friday today. We're getting going on episode 6 here. I didn't have a whole lot planned, but we had a pretty good conversation on stream the other day that ended up being a bit more of a brain teaser, tickling the old rivets, the wrinkles in the cranium, as it were, that I didn't expect to have, and I thought would be worth elaborating a little bit more on, where I'm not distracted by exploding in the deep dungeon in Pilgrim's Traverse. Before that, though, I'm just going to give a little background on today. It's been a wild few weeks as I've been trying to get stuff going on my tabletop. I've been like going back and forth on that. And the video editing and stuff, as you guys have known over the past year and a half or so, which has been tricky. But yeah, today I'm actually, or this month rather, I've been trying to get everything done into a playable date for the new style that I'm going with. It's just like fully, as much as I can, I think, deviating from the original like D&D base that I've been going off of, just because I haven't. I'm not a big tabletop fan. Not that I dislike the genre or anything, but it's been something that I took a lot of notes from other games, other systems that were the most popular, or what I thought were the most fleshed out, and tried to build on top of that, and finally able to kind of push away or move away from that, which is really nice. So that's taken a few months of like redoing, and it's almost ready, and so I've been really blitzing to make sure it's done for this month, because I said it would be, and for whatever reason my brain works in, well, I guess most people still work in, the regularly defined, what do you call it, terms of time, whether it has to be done this week, or it has to be done in a day, or it has to be done this month. But it's gotten close. It's not going to be finished. It's not going to be full. I'm going to do a whole video on it for anybody like fully interested in it, but yeah, it's been spiking my stress. I've been trying my best to stay calm and take breaks when I can, but it's also been pretty tricky being able to balance everything, right? So, but yeah, it's exciting. It'll be good. If you guys haven't heard of it, it's the Call to Ascension. You can find it on Kickstarter. Have a Discord. I have a couple videos up about it on the channel if you want to search for those. Again, Call to Ascension. And yeah, more stuff to come in the next week. So yeah, I've been a little frazzled. I've been trying to get the 24-man video done as well. Basically done, but since I had to get my new computer, and I didn't have my, if I had any of the files or projects saved from DaVinci Resolve previously, I don't have them now, or I don't know where they are, right? So I'm having to now redo the end screen, and I'm going to try and clean it up a little bit, get the credits going so everybody on Patreon is properly credited. Make sure you guys know that I appreciate you. So, yeah, that's pretty much the lowdown on what's been going on for the past couple weeks, especially today. It's been, I'm finally relaxing a little bit. Had a good birthday yesterday. That was fun. Went to the sushi place, my favorite restaurant in town. Had a good time. Got set up in the sushi bar with my wife. Didn't know what to do. Didn't know what to talk about. We very rarely get the chance to like be alone anymore, and like we're with each other all the time anyway. So I was just like, wow, we just get to sit here and not say anything, and we just kind of get to enjoy each other's company without being interrupted, or I don't have to like endure my children being crazy. Love them to death, but when we're out, it's just like, all right, gotta try and eat my food while also keeping tabs on them and hearing their complaints. And then if they finish their food or they don't like their food, then they want to leave. And then trying to not have a meltdown in the middle of a restaurant. So going out is so much fun as an adult. What can I say? Hello, Metaboy in chat. Appreciate that. Anybody else that wants to talk, this is live streamed. So you guys know I appreciate the feedback. And overall, lately on the streams, when we're not doing the podcast stuff, we've been getting a lot of other, a lot more people like kind of engaging and stuff, which is really cool. So I've been enjoying hearing you guys or reading your guys' thoughts on what I'm talking about, and it's helping me broaden my horizons. Of course, it's easy to get bent out of shape when people don't agree and whatnot, but I think I've been doing better on accepting different points of view and doing it in a way that is conducive to people feeling comfortable expressing their opinions, even if they don't match mine. It says, "Congrats, now older, except today you don't get to be happy about it," right? Yeah. It's all done. It's all over. That's just, I'm used to it by now. Anywho, what we're talking about today. I wanted to go over armor stuff. We were talking about armor, and because I think we were discussing, I just kind of off topic mentioned how I don't like the current system where you you get your raid gear, right? You finish as a raider, you get your gear. That's kind of like your reward. You get the gear, you get the best weapon in the game currently at that time. But as soon as the next raid tier comes out, the latest crafted set beats it. The latest crafted melded set, pentamelded set beats it. And yes, pentamelded is the caveat there, but it's like not that hard to do, and there's really nothing else to spend gil on in the game. Nothing like necessary. Like you can always find some stuff to spend it on, but for the most part, if you just saved up gil, like did content, saved up the gil from stuff you sold, and then waited for the next tier, you'd have enough to buy on release a set and enough materia to deck yourself out. So I just don't like that it's immediately invalidated. It's like, yeah, we get the coolness, the best gear. I believe we earned it. And that's like, rewards are important in the game. We've seen that with the quantum debacle and the conversation around what's been given for that, where it's like just the title. Whereas at least with things like ultimates, you get the weapon and the title, right? So yeah, I was just kind of making my grievances there, where I don't mind catch-up mechanics or catch-up features in the game. I think that kind of, I'm not entirely sure, but I was introduced to new mindsets or mentalities, viewpoints around gearing, where some people really liked, or at least one person really liked the way that crafted gear was introduced, because it was a way for people who hadn't been in the game for a while or who wanted to resub. They didn't have to go back through the entire previous tier, which actually I've never not done a raid tier for a while, so I don't know if the Savage tier, I don't think the Savage tiers are locked behind, I think it's just locked behind the normal modes. I don't think you have to do the previous Savage ones to do the later ones. We got locked for a Savage for something. I forget what. We had to like take, who do we have to take through for it? No, we had to beat Neo X Death in order to take Keaton into UCOB, I want to say. I think that was it. It was the ultimate was locked behind it. Other than that, I don't think so. Reed not trying to pull out the WoW example again. No, we can rehash it as long as it's well, you were saying for WoW they made it where it's just like ridiculous amounts of grinding to catch up, I think was what your point was. Like there are wrong ways to do it, right? And we don't have the worst one. Savage Raid is really only required for ultimates. Okay, that's what I figured. I figured as much. So anyway, yeah, they're just like, it's nice that you don't have to go through all the old Savage tier, or the previous Savage tier, just to be like competitive. And it's like, you don't need the Savage gear to hit minimum item level to get in there. You can still do the normal mode for that gear. Like there's a lot of catch-up mechanics in there. I still don't think that it should be better than what we just got from the previous raid. Like the raid tier should always beat the previous raid tiers geared, and that should be it. Obviously, you have the tome gear, which won't all be best in slot, but you can at least, by the time the next expansion comes out, or sorry, not the next expansion, the next tier comes out, you'll have an upgraded set of tome gear. If you've been playing. If you just started, you still have the option of going through the 24 man and getting your loot as well, getting the upgrade pieces, yada yada yada. Like it still requires time. I don't think it's anti-new player. That's kind of the sentiment. So I think it was anti-new player to come in here, or to not have something where people could just log in and immediately go into the next raid. Because in my point of view, I understand the argument of accessibility. I'm not trying to gatekeep it all here. At the same time, the point of a game is to play it, and then there's got to be a reason to play it. Now, is armor and gear the only thing that people should be playing for? Not really. It's a nice way to gauge your progress, right? Like, it's much easier to see who's the experienced player by their gear. How well they do is determined largely, almost exclusively, I don't want to say exclusively, almost exclusively by the gear. How many times I've been saved by gear score, especially watching that 24 man with my my legend title. In my defense, in our defense, it was the first time we'd gone through it, and no strategies or information had been released yet, or nothing that we looked at. So we got one comment. I'm fine with Crafted being better than the last tier's BIS as well, but I still think those who completed previous content should have higher ceiling than those who complete one tier. Yeah. Rewards have always sucked anyways. Not new player. Been playing since 1.0 yet. 1.0 not AR. Wow. You're an OG. Congrats on that. I almost was. I almost played back then. But I looked up reviews and they weren't good. So I was like, I'm going to stay with 11 for a bit because I know I like this one. And I don't want to pay for... I wasn't in a spot to pay for another sub. I was a college student at that point, and I needed every bit of money I could to pay for rent and food. You know? So, yeah, extracurriculars were not high on my list. So... Anyway, I don't know if... I think the reward sucking is an subjective thing. It depends on who you ask. Like, obviously, something's kept you around since 1.0, right? Or if it's not the rewards, what has been the thing? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on that. So, yeah, and then we kind of got into more of the conversation of... I think I covered that enough. I got more into the conversation of... what could be done with gearing, because there are so many things that are possible, and of course they also open up potential doors for new problems. Just because it's a different thing doesn't mean it's a better thing. Okay, I'm going to say that right now, so you don't have to argue with me in the comments. But just because the something might bring on new problems doesn't mean that it won't be worth it. You know what I mean? That's where I get a lot of my frustrations with the when I do these kinds of discussions and stuff, where I bring up a potential solution and then people will just shut it down entirely. No discussion, no desire to continue on the conversation. Just nope, it'll bring up this, so it's not worth it. It's like, right, great, awesome. The game. I understand why the game is in the state that it's in right now. If this is the predominant mentality, right? So, yeah. We were just kind of going over different ways that, like, what could you do for gearing to make it worthwhile? Because we kind of talked on the concept that the old relics used to have, where if you completed the initial one or the previous one all the way, then you could trade it in for a boost to, like, skip a step or two for the next one. I thought that was pretty cool. It rewarded people who had been playing, and it didn't really hurt people who were new. Like, you could just keep going. Do the content as intended, right? But you still got a little something. And one of the things that I brought up was the idea of... doing more to bring different parts of the community together. Like right now, crafters and raiders have a reason to coexist. Not as much as there could be. Like I miss having free company exclusive furniture that helped crafters. They just stopped doing it after the first set. It would be cool to have like we have the like airship facility, but I don't know how much we haven't needed anything from there. You know what I mean? Like we still have people handling the voyages and whatnot of our submersibles and airships, but we don't actually. We're not farming for anything. We're just kind of like keeping it up just in case they decide to remember that content exists, I guess. One thing that I think thought would be cool was like letting having some sort of drop. I think we had it with some of the previous coils. I think it was where you got replica. You could get replica or materials to make the replicas. I thought that was a neat option there. But also a way to make it so that people who maybe put in the work to get their entire raid set, whether it be like a page exchange or something else that dropped, that you could have crafters that could improve your gear somehow or give you an item to... Like they craft an item, then you trade it in. I think that's how it would work with the current vendor system, because we can't I don't know if we can't request a craft of something right now. But something as simple as either adding another stat, adding a fifth stat to the raid gear, or a third or fourth materia slot, or making the raid gear pentamelded. You know what I mean? I think that would be something that would be neat. It would engage more of the player base together, give people a reason to do stuff. And of course, I want there to be rewards and stuff for crafters, maybe a part of it, or either achievement based or some other material dropped from the raids gives them good crafting gear, or maybe the allows them to craft the ornate gear. I don't know. I think that could be neat. Maybe a little overpowered, but at the same time, it's like if players are able to earn it, why not? Even with more stats, crit would still roll. Yeah, that's all. Like, we'll get to why the current gearing system is kind of really bland. that is already. I'm not discrediting that at all whatsoever. So an idea I had was that you could do a mix of dungeon and gathering, where a party would enter the dungeon with a limited time. You could fight monsters to open up new nodes together. Yeah, they kind of did that with Diadem, but having it on a smaller scale would be cool, especially if you could bring in people, like smaller groups, right? Because Diadem required more people to kind of get going, but I suppose they have tried that before, haven't they? But yeah, just rewards for both groups. You bring in your raiders or your PvEers, and then you get your gatherers, and then maybe even like a PvP zone where people will PvP over a node, and then if they get control of that node for a certain amount of time, then everything gathered on their party gets like a cut, kind of a thing. And then, or people who control the node get more resources for it. Hello, Ice. Thought about the replica stuff more, and I think it'd be really nice. Lots of times even if you liked a raid set for glam, it's likely a piece you want isn't part of your best in slot, so you won't be getting it until everyone's gotten the pieces. Yeah, that's a fair point too. Having like a continuous replica option for stuff. I feel like we need a new stat for 3 substats on one piece. It would just turn into crit, main, sub, det, date. I mean, that's how it is, right? That's how it currently is. And adding another stat to it would just be beefing up. Like if you only have, because it right now, if you're a DPS, it's crit, det, direct hit only. That will not change, right? So, but most pieces only have det, direct hit, or crit det, or crit direct hit. And then adding another one would allow you to complete the trifecta as it were, something like that. Or giving another materia slot would allow people to meld in more of that. I don't think that makes the idea a bad one necessarily, because that's more of a critique, I think, of the current system, not because I mean that's what it is anyway. You get the crafted gear and then you just pentameld a whole bunch of stuff in there. And the biggest issue with armor right now is that the armor is predetermined what stat it is. Like if tome gear uses bad stats, what do you do now? Yeah. I mean that's why we have to mix and match, and that's really like the extent of the gearing. These are these stats because it's only stats, and if your gear doesn't have that, then you have to get the raid alternative in order to do that, and sometimes the raid and the tome gear isn't good, or sometimes it's mostly tome gear is good and some of the raid gear just kind of sucks. And like I said before, if we did stuff like being creative with gear set skills, we went kind of a monster hunter route with it, where even if we did something like that, there's always going to be a best, right? So, but there's already currently a best. So if we introduce another system that gives a little bit more flexibility, then maybe there's a best for this type of playstyle, or maybe there's a best for this class still, but right now, it's just it's a shallow pool and a small one. There's not a whole lot to do, and I know that there are limitations on like designing new sets. I don't think that we need new sets being designed all the time. Maybe like bring back old sets that can then be dyed, or something like that, or rehash it. Some previous designs that were neat. That's totally cool, as well. Yeah, see, it's already kind of starting as like, well, if you do this thing, then issue. It's only an issue. It's like, yeah, there's no perfect solution, obviously. But right now, it's like, should they not even try to do anything different? Because it's literally just, you get tome gear, you get raid gear. If you can't get either, or if you can't get the raid gear, you get the 24-man gear. And 24-man gear kind of goes back and forth between being glam only or a replacement for the raid gear. So for a crit, I believe the issue is crit both increases the rate and damage of it. If crit was split off into 2 stats, it would be much better. I don't know. I'm not sure. It was always partial to an eye level base damage, allow only 1 materia meld, and then I'd make the materia be what's interesting. Okay, so have the effects or something on the materia. That could be neat. Kind of go back to other games, previous 14 games, or 14 Final Fantasy games. I like that. It's just, we get 6 sets of gear, raid tome, alliance raid, 2 dungeons, and crafted, but only 2 of them contribute to BIS. Yeah, the crafted set's your intro. It's your alternative to the normal mode gear, which I wouldn't mind if it was like the same as the tome gear or whatever. Or if there was something else to the crafted bit where it feels so bad. It just feels really bad for me to go through the whole raid. And yes, we're basically getting the entire thing, the whole patch with that gear. There's not a whole lot to do with it necessarily. Like, there's no next step. There's nothing that really, like, the dungeons get a little faster, but by the time you're best in slot, you have all the gear you need. Yeah, I guess you can work towards, another relic or tome gear for another class, I suppose, and just speed run stuff as much as they allow you to do that, which isn't a lot. So currently, WoW dungeon system takes dungeons from current expansion and a few old expansion dungeons and makes the loot all scale to the current level cap. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, but the only reason that would be necessary is, well, no, that just means that you don't, from the current, you call it crescent drops could be turned into materia if they were going crazy with it. Yeah. That would be neat. Like getting certain sub skills, or like not armor spheres, but the talismans or gems in Monster Hunter. That'd be neat. It'd be cool stuff to kind of diversify what we have when it comes to gearing. I know Ryan was talking about it, where he actually likes and misses accuracy because it was the only semblance of like having to make strategic decisions for your gear, and it stopped you from just going straight crit det. Like we all know what the best ones are for like optimal damage, but then if you missed out on accuracy, then you weren't doing any damage. And I know that's a hot take. That's a hot take. Even I didn't like accuracy. Somewhat interesting, but I didn't like missing stuff or basically having to wait to get the proper gear or having to meld in accuracy. It was rough. But I understand the sentiment. What is it saying, Reed? So you farm the current dungeon in 14, but you have the option to farm the area for gear that's also at max level. That'd be interesting, I guess. At least for like, but I mean both have like glamour systems as well. So, but then you wouldn't have to worry about just doing the current dungeons, I suppose. Yeah, things like getting extra dash materia, only for feet, and then shield and heals plus 10% on chest. I could see stuff like that. Or like requiring a certain number to get the full effect, like you have like stacking effects that get better the more that you have of one, and then you're like actually making decisions. You're choosing what you want in your build. And again, yes, there's going to be a best. There's going to be a meta, the most efficient tactic available. But there can also be just fun stuff there. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a game where somebody isn't mad that somebody isn't running the optimal DPS, right? Even in Monster Hunter, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not hurting anybody by gearing out my gun lance with defense and guard up. Hurts nobody. Maybe they want their speed run, but then I get people like, well, why don't you have all the crit gems in there? Why don't you have all the damage gems in there? It's like, because I want to be a tank. I want to stop damage from coming in here. That's what I want. And then I want to explode. I want them to blow up after they hit me. You can fight the max DPS at all costs if you simply don't allow anything to adjust those stats. Oh, that's what you meant. I see. So the item level of your gear is the damage. I mean, certain skills would allow you to do more, I suppose, but if you just made the extra stuff utility based, that'd be pretty interesting. So you would just flush out crit det, direct hit entirely and go pure utility. Okay. That is a solution. Not one that I'm against either. I don't necessarily mind that. You know what? That's how you get people to do positionals as well. Obviously, like for damage, but if you had certain things, again, where crit or direct hit went up at certain points or certain areas on the boss. I'm sure if you like that idea, make the gear feel samey. Well, that's the thing, is that, yeah, it would make it samey, or if certain ones had skills, like a skill attached to it already, like a skill point. So instead of, and then the materia, you mix and match to, like, again, we're essentially going towards like Monster Hunter type of thing with this example, where it's different. Right now, Monster Hunter has different gear that builds towards certain skills that have like 1 to 3 gem slots, right? Or 1 to 5 levels, sorry. Usually between 3 to 5 to get stuff. There's exceptions. Anywho. And then you add the gems on top of it to complete it. So yeah, maybe not entirely tied to materia, right? But something that's at least where we have utility skills or skills of some sort in the mix. I think that would be really interesting. I do like that because, yeah, as long as you have things that increase damage, that's what people are going to go towards almost exclusively. Same to the experience of a single player or same to the experience of the collective. If XYZ wants a different build than you, is that not at least some variety? Yeah, it's I get what you mean. Maybe gear could enhance the rewards you get from content. I mean, that's going for... That's more like the Bosnia type, Bosnia Occult Crescent gear for stuff that you grind out that's kind of like peripheral. The Guild Wars 2 did new gear expansion since they didn't always raise the level cap. I don't know. Like, I know that they have their own substats as well. Theirs was more... I'm not familiar enough with it enough to really make a statement. I'm going to stop myself there. I'm sure other people will be able to comment on it. I'm not sure if people are complaining about certain things in Guild Wars. I don't know if gear is one of those things. Because basically I came back after years and played it on stream. And my gear's still pretty good. Not the best, but it's usually like based on rarity. So your legendary gear is better than... That's how the eye level is. But it doesn't really go up each expansion. You just get different or better legendaries or decent legendaries. But yeah, I'm not against certain pieces of gear also like being niche, because then you'd be able to kind of do something with all the gear slots that we have, or the I'm starting to run out of space in my gear slots, but what I mean is like gear sets. I'm running out of gear slot space or armory space because I play every single class and gatherer and crafter. Same as a Raiden Tome gear be the same if they don't have skills built into them. I mean, yeah, I mean, for the most part, gear is already really samey as it is, but I do think that going the Monster Hunter route, having stuff that you can basically have the skills built into gear and then add material on top of it to flesh out a kit or a build would be very interesting. What else? What else here? I was thinking about this, but I didn't bring anybody else in for this today, so it's hard riffing off of myself. In the future, I'm going to bring people in again to continue to discuss, but right now I'm just trying to keep this consistent and make sure we're going here. I can also shift the topic as well. We can do something else. But as far as like rewards, though, there's also the oh, sorry. What did you say, recommend about making skill speed or spell speed interact more with job design? Something like high spell speed makes you generate more polyglots. If they went back to, because I liked Stormblood up to Stormblood Black Mage was very, very interesting to me, and I think that they could still incorporate newer things that they've added to it. I think that's totally fine, like with Flare Star being something that you kind of build towards. But I liked sitting still and casting as many Fire 6s as possible, or sorry, Fire 4s as possible within the window that you had fire, like your Astral Fire. And I understand why they simplified it and why they took away the timers and stuff with the way that the current... What do you want, puppy dog? He's just whining at me. But I get it. Like, I was skeptical about it at first, and then they kind of brought the heat with the content that made it worthwhile. You know what I mean? Kind of surprised I never even tried anything with a tier set bonus other than extremely dated Grand Company gear. I know. They are very fearful of rocking the boat because they know that players can be pretty rabid. Or talk a lot without knowing a lot, and I say that pointedly at myself as well. Like we love the current culture in general really loves to trash things. We like seeing things that is everybody making fun of this? I'm gonna make fun of it too. Haha, let's laugh and point at these people for doing something that we don't think is right. Man, I've been in my head about that for the past year or so. I am terrified of releasing my game Because if it doesn't do super well, that's just people. There are going to be people out there that just want that to follow me around everywhere, and they want to remind me every time I try and do something else. Oh, aren't you the guy with that game that didn't do well? That didn't do great? Didn't it flop? Isn't that you? Isn't that what you are? That's who you are. Oh man. But yeah. Anyway, you got that kind of fear and trepidation, I think, with the development team, where they're like, dude, we're so tired of people trashing us for trying. You know what I mean? Armor in 14 is so obnoxiously difficult to get until it's way too late to matter. I'm interested to see why. What do you mean that it's difficult to get? I don't know if I would categorize it as difficult. I mean, there's the best gear obviously is behind the most difficult content aside from Omega, right? And also you need to experience. You need the experience, and you can't have experience and feedback until you drop it. Oh, I know. I'm still pushing forward. I'm not letting fear dictate what I am, or what I do. But man, it's something that just kind of like I have this dread when I think about it too much, and I have to push through it. It's tough. I'm just glad that there have been so many people supportive of it. But it's also something that I'm trying to do better with for myself as a person, to give more grace. You know, people these days are so terrified of being wrong or failing because the hate apparatus is like that sells. Sex sells and hate and anger sell. And that's your clickbait. This person screwed up. This person did this. Either point and laugh or look at what a piece of crap they are. I still fall into it at times, but that's why I say I wanna be better than that. I wanna move forward from that. And that especially now, because I'm gonna be people will have their sights set on me at some point. But yeah, as far as gear being difficult to get, like I said before, I think the catch-up mechanics are pretty good. I don't want to call them mechanics, but like to start off a tier at this point, all you need is a crafter friend or some gil, and then you just buy the materia, put it in. Like any amount of grinding that you've been doing in the game will do it. Like even just picking up the game, as soon as you get there, you have a bunch of money to just put towards something, right? Through the main story. So you're good to go there. Then, like, it's okay that things take time to do. You know what I mean? Some stuff, I don't want to be too general about it, because there are definitely things that are better done quickly so that people can engage with stuff, right? I don't believe in arbitrary boundaries for people to enjoy the game. However, I do think that it's okay to like take time, because you want to be, for me as a player, I like seeing improvement. I like games because they are, what do you call it? Where it's like you see literally in front of you the numbers going up. Whereas in life, you don't always see your improvement until it's like a year later and you look back at where you were, kind of a thing. Or if you're in the creative arts like me, if I look back at like my old videos and want to claw my eyes out, then I can see how far I've improved and what I've done, and between the banter and the editing ability and the art and all that stuff. I don't want to say art like it's, I have nothing to do with the art, but the way that the avatars are used. Not trying to give Archie a hard time here. She's doing great. So yeah, but then you have ways to, by engaging with the game, you get stuff like you do your dailies, you get the tomes to buy tome gear, and then you do the 24-man, and that allows you to get comparable gear, and it gets you the upgrades for that tome gear. So like there are ways to upgrade and get through it, and to, yeah, I don't know. Again, I'm not trying to trash you at all here for saying that it's difficult. I'm trying to understand your point of view and giving my reasoning as to why I'm not quite on board with that thought process yet. But maybe there is something that I'm not thinking about. So feel free to let me know. Or if you're typing right now, don't feel pressured. We'll move on until you're ready to chat about that. So, anywho, yeah, I don't. Glamour is one thing, right? Glamour is one thing. I think it's cool if raid gear looks cool, or any sort of gear that you get looks like. I don't think there should be any stinker pieces, right? I don't know, man. Even like incorporating crafters into the raiding scene or their raiding friends. Uh, Glows for armor. Like we had the Anabasos. Was it the Anabasos or not? It wasn't the Ascended gear, but the one with the fire. Like if you could have dyeable fire, that would be sick. You know what I mean? Um, Adding glows to raid weapons. You know, maybe some sort of effects. Not enough to crash any servers or anything, but we're talking about the quality. There was something. I'm not trying to harp because person's in here, and I don't want to be antagonistic. That's not how I mean it. But we're talking about how the kind of the purpose of gear, right? And I was realizing that different people have different views of what gear is. Like on one hand, you see gear as just a way to make content more difficult early on. Like that's your base point. Your gear, your item level is the only determines how well you're doing in certain fights or how much damage you're doing, how fast you can clear it. And then getting better gear makes it easier. And that's it. That's the only purpose to it. Whereas for me, yes, a big number go up, brain get happy, but it's also pride. You know, it's that we have something that shows that we put in the work, we put in the effort, we got the gear, right? More gear customization would also allow you to kind of show it off more. Like it would be nice if you could make your raid gear best in slot. That's just me though. And part of my distaste for losing it immediately is like, wow, it's just that stuff that I was proud of. I could kind of flex or show that I'd done it, or you know, the status. Like that's kind of the point of multiplayer games, is either competition or cooperation, and that's the competition part of it without going into PvP, so that I can show other people that I've got the best gear. I'm happy with it. It's like the same reason people flaunt their ultimate weapons. I've got the best gear. I've got the best weapons, the coolest looking weapons. I did the hardest content. Look at what I've done. It's an achievement. And immediately throwing it away just kind of sucks for me. I really just don't. It just bugs me that we don't get it for that long. I guess I wish it was worth it for a little more, a little longer. I always wondered why gear had to make the game easier rather than making it harder or more challenging in certain directions. I mean, in some ways, right? It's a way to kind of show how you're able to overcome stuff. Like again, you're seeing progress, right? It used to take me this long to beat this thing. Now it only takes us this long. That feels good to do. That's a part of fun, in my opinion. Like it's always fun for us to try and skip mechanics. Whereas some people would be like, well, then you're invalidating the design of the game. Like whenever we talk about sinking levels down. Well, then what about all the mechanics? It's like, who cares? We want to do it as fast as possible. Again, I've never heard somebody be like, oh, that dungeon was over too fast. And so I was like, dang, we got a good time. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just the people I'm hanging around, but that's where I'm coming from. Right? As far as like gear making it easier, on the other hand, again, with the Monster Hunter example, it makes it easier in terms of like your playstyle. It makes your playstyle more complete. Equip this and now you can skip X mechanic but minus 100% regen heals or something. I don't know if I would, because that's I'm not against like challenge runs and stuff like that, and I'm not against trade-offs. Like you get some power, but there's a downside to it. I've been implementing a lot of that in my own game, so I'm not fully against it. But I don't think it always, if it makes things harder or more challenging, if there's no reward at the end of that, people won't do it, I don't think. Because the whole point of games is to win, to do better, to improve, to achieve. If you're stopping people from being able to do that, then it's kind of the antithesis, or antithetical to that. After doing dungeons as a three-man saint while helping out a friend, I feel like dungeons introduce their interesting mechanics way too late. So I feel like we're clearing the dungeons too fast, but I like the solution to that is make bosses fire up their interesting mechanics faster. That's true. Or have it like percentage gated, where the boss goes untargetable or something, which isn't super fun, but if you have a fun mechanic, that's cool. I guess it's my hot take, I still miss from Snowcloak the Yeti fight, building up trying to build up as big of a snowball as possible was so much fun, and then like sending it at the Yeti. It would have been nice if it always went towards the Yeti if you had it targeted, but yeah. And then I ever complained about a dungeon being over too fast. Was it the music slaps? Yeah. But yeah, now we got the Orchestrion or YouTube. That works. That works as well. Okay. New ideas, right? New ideas for what we could do for gear. We already talked about having like utility skills, removing damage substats, just having the damage baseline, or if you have things like skill speed or spell speed, that's an increase in damage. But it's also it's a neat way for certain classes to like express themselves. Like I very much enjoyed the fact that Black Mage was different. As somebody who plays everything, Black Mage was different, that it's the only caster that wanted spell speed over crit. Now I don't know if that's true as much anymore because you don't have a time limit anymore to get that stuff done, which is kind of a shame, but it is what it is. It's hard to also want things for certain classes when everything is homogenized to the point that it is, because if you make cooldowns shorter or you make certain things charge faster, then you're screwing up everybody's 2-minute rotation. You know what I mean? You're throwing off the whole point of homogenizing it in the first place, which for me is fine. You know what I mean? I'm fine getting rid of the homogenization, but people will avoid it like the plague because that is the current system to do things right. So like even if you get your 2 minutes up faster, your whole team has to build like that. Otherwise, you're sitting on all your stuff anyway for all the raid buffs to go out. Kill raid buffs. Raid buffs need to go. We don't need them anymore. They're a blight on this game. But I could see reduced mana costs for certain things, or longer duration on certain buffs. That would be neat. I'm thinking in terms of Monster Hunter now, and I'm having a hard time going instead to Final Fantasy specific or exclusive stuff. What else? What else could we do for gear? We've already talked about like making them glamourable, right? Either with replica, bringing back replicas each tier, maybe like the tier after or whatever like that, or the patch after. Then glowing effects, like simply cosmetic improvements would be great. It's work on the side of the dev team, but with a lot of my suggestions, I'm also trying to. I mentioned this before, but it's like, okay, you're trying new things, that's great, but you leave a lot of things just kind of dead on the floor, and then you go on to another new thing. It's like, I kind of want them to stop for a little bit, still do new things at some point, but I want them to stop a little bit and then give some tender love and care to what we have already in the game, because there's already stuff that's, and in that way, then they're not having to like brainstorm or figure out a whole bunch of other stuff. They're just doing what's already in the game, improving it, and updating it, allowing people who like that stuff to engage with it. Otherwise, it's just like get rid of some old stuff, twilight it, and then focus on what people did respond to, and then lean into that. And it's totally fine. It's just I feel like we're never building on what we've got, and always adding to it, and it's making them like, yeah, they got to work, right? It's kind of the whole point, but I also want them to, have more solid goals, I suppose, for stuff. Instead of just like, all right, we got to come up with a new thing now. It's like, no, come up with a new thing for the thing we have right now. Use my idea of using MP to enter burst phase. Like resources. Yeah, but that requires them to redo the whole system, which I would like from the job discussion, or like how to change certain things with how they approach design for jobs, but it's just not happening at the moment, or we don't know how much it will or will not happen. It's going to be a while anyway before we see any of that stuff. So it's I would like them. Yes, there would open up a lot of opportunities for how gear could be specialized or like make different builds viable if we moved away from the homogenization of the current landscape of how fights are, sorry, not how fights, but how classes are designed. Excuse me, in the game. And now I'm just trying to, I'm thinking of how to do it with like PvP. Also, well, one thing is that I should mention, this being the armor episode, is that I don't mind different things, different parts of the game having different ways to gear. I think the quality of that stuff should be based on the difficulty, right? If you're doing PvE content, the hardest PvE content, you get the best PvE gear. If you're doing the cosmetic exploration, the hardcore crafting stuff, right? You get the best items, the best tools, right? It'd be nice if they got some cool gear as well. We had a comment the other day where if you raid, then crafting gear is irrelevant. I don't know why that was the case, or you didn't need to do the hardcore stuff for the other stuff. That one still I failed to make sense of, unfortunately. Change the rate of limit break gauge. Cruel. Replace the 2-minute burst with LB3 cast. That could be cool. I'm still a fan of break bars. Break bars or DPS windows in fights. So you kind of save things. Again, more flexible rotations and stuff would allow for that. Whereas right now it's just every fight is timed specifically or explicitly to make it so that you are running around with like a chicken with your head cut off during your 2-minute burst. I mean, I asked for things for, well, why can't we cast limit break 3 to 4 times on a fight? I wanted like personal LBs and maybe make the LB3 if everybody hits it together or if they add to it during a phase where it's safe, obviously. I thought that'd be cool. But then people were like, and then it wouldn't feel as special. I'm like, I don't know. I think it'd be pretty special still. Like if it's cool, there is a balance of making something satisfying because you built up to it, and then, but so satisfying that, or if it's so satisfying and you only get it like once or twice a fight, it's like you're getting blue balled the whole time, you know what I mean? Like the coolest part of this is being gated so heavily where I don't actually get to do it. Like if I'm doing, again, Monster Hunter, because it's my favorite game, I'm gonna reference it a lot. For Monster Hunter, I'm always wanting to do Spirit Helmbreaker and the follow-up to it as much as I can. Like my whole thing is getting it out as much as possible. And there are ways to build it a little bit faster, or whatever, but I don't feel like it's ever cheapened because I get it every 30 seconds to a minute, you know what I mean? It still feels great. Or the charge blast. If I could just keep firing off the charge blast for Gunlance, I'd be so happy. If greatsword users could keep just spinning to win with their or like with their swings, just sonic spin with their true charge slash with a greatsword, people would be so stoked. As a side note, we talked about the dungeons being over too fast. We need earlier dungeons to introduce better mechanics. I don't think that dungeons need to be hard, but they should be fun. You know what I mean? Like, just because it's easier content doesn't mean that you should just not engage with the mechanics. I don't know. I've been playing Fellowship a little bit when I have time, ideally with other people. And like pre-made. Obviously, you have to play it with other people because it's a multiplayer dungeon, mythic dungeon simulator. But it's like going into those fights And then seeing how fun they are and having like mechanics that you gotta like that engage with the boss that you have to pay attention to. Like I still, one of my favorite bosses to this day is still the boss in Copperbell Mines Hard with Ziggy, I think it is. And you generate the bomb every time and you have to put it in his way. It's like no combat whatsoever until like the very end. But that is so much fun. I have the most fun in that fight. It's great. Different discussion on a whole ass expansion where they add 0 new zones and fix up only content. Yeah, the old content for sure. I mean, I'm still of the mind that they should take a year or 2, 3, however long it takes, and rework the dang the spaghetti code. They've got to have so many things that they want to do with the game, and they just can't because of the limitations of the old code, because the original game wasn't made with all the stuff in mind that they've been developing. I'm hoping that's an announcement in the next few years. I would like to see that. I think they need it, honestly, and I think that is they have the leverage in the company to say like, hey, this thing's gonna die. Your little cash cow needs an investment. Put all that Mog Station money to good use. So I know that people are very critical about Cash Shop. At least if they get something new out of it, they'd maybe get something or be less critical. They have some sort of agreement with Tencent. I think they can cook up a new engine. That's right, for the mobile game. I hope that comes to the West. I'd like to see how it is, and maybe they're waiting on that to be like, we'll get the feedback there and then see how it goes. It's kind of crazy though that this game is mobileable. You know what I mean? Very excited to see what comes out of that. I know mobile gaming, meh. It's a swear word in the gaming circle these days, but it's got so much potential, man. And I like being able to just whip out my phone and play a game. You know what I mean? I like those options. I'd appreciate it if we actually had a decent repertoire that weren't infested with microtransactions, but again, it's kind of hard to get people to want to pay money for a mobile game. So it's a memory of how much bought in Fantasia. Yeah. I'll tell you guys, Fantasia goals, I need to do that again at some point for streams. We'll have those sub goals are the things that you guys show up for. That and making me work out. Thanks for that, by the way. Actually, I haven't been going to the gym because now it's nice enough where I can go out. I was going to jog, but running on the ground is a lot harder than running on a treadmill. So then I didn't do that. I still walk. I still take a walk or two every day. But I have a friend who buys Fantasia every 2 weeks. We've all got our addictions, my friend. We'll pray for their soul. I've still got a couple, but people really enjoy making me, or they're incentivized to support when they make me a Lalafell or something, or a Femro. No, actually, they've never voted to make me a Femro. So, back to armor. What if they did something similar to the jobs, in that you only ever have one set instead of heaps of individualized parts? Okay. Similar to the jobs. Elaborate. Are we talking about like a single piece that is your armor? Or are we talking about you only need one set and then you can customize it however you want? So that would be interesting too. I wouldn't hate having a... So, okay, little nerdy lore for me while you come up with that. Is that one of my first anime, and it's dated. I went back and rewatched it, but one of my first anime, one that I still has a very special place in my heart, is Magic Knight Rayearth. Or no, I just watched Magic Knight. Magic Knight Rayearth is basically like Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've ever seen the Rayearth one. Anywho, Magic Knights, where you guys have probably heard me talk about this, where they have evolving swords and armor. And I was excited for things like Bosnia, where they said that your weapon would evolve over time. I was like, oh, that's cool. That reminds me of Magic Knight, where the more they progressed, the stronger they got. Then their swords or their, I think they all ended up with swords at some point. They would become like they'd change form a little bit, and then they become stronger. And the same with their armor. The armor would get more and more elaborate as they progressed. And I always kind of thought that it was a shame that we didn't get armor like relic armor. It's a big part of, or at least the artifact armor, right? The artifact armor was a big deal in 11. And it was something that you like got the base set, and then you grinded stuff out, and then you improved it, and then you grinded it out, and you improved it again. Like, but we don't get that in 14. We still have, at level 99, we get our artifact armor. And then after that, we get nothing. We don't do anything with it. We, at one point, were able to do the Varus fight for, that was in Shadowbringers, I believe, because that's when I got my favorite, I was able to dye my favorite monk set that I wear to this day. Let's see, one armor set that you pour leveling resources into, they increase eye level only. Already on a great start. I love that concept already. Then you mess with the materia to alter or exaggerate playstyle of choice. Yeah, I'd be totally fine if they changed the grind from getting tomestones for gear to pouring tomestones into your gear. I would adore something like that. Because again, like, we don't have a way to like stay attached to our armor aside from glamour, right? Like we have ways to put it away for later and then save it, but we don't. I would like to have a piece of gear that can upgrade, and then maybe you have different, go back, like if we were able to bring back rarities of armor, right? Here, okay, I think I'm on to something. Let me cook on this for a second. We have rarities of armor again. We go back to like the gray, the pink, the blue, and whatever, right? And then harder content like 24 Mans is another color. Then Savage Raids is another color. Hell, even do Ultimate. I would be totally fine if Ultimate got some stuff too. But then like the limits on how far you could push that gear depends on like the rarity. Or maybe even taking a piece of gear and then improving its rarity to increase like the max stats or abilities that it has, right? Let's see, yeah, the relic armor or craftable armor using EX drops themed around that boss. Dude, Heavens, you guys remember Heaven's Word? Back in my day, we had primal themed armor, and it was the coolest gosh dang thing I've ever seen. Dude, that Ifrit gear, we had Ifrit, we had Garuda, I think Leviathan was in there. Dude, they stopped doing that. I would so much rather they put their resources into being able to glam up after bosses and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It would be so cool. They could do the whole chop off parts of your kit. They do when you level down for various content types. Okay, yeah, I see. Like the way that it syncs would be different. Oh man, I still think having PvP gear was cool. I understand that at a certain point, again, I think it would be better for builds, having builds not like damage, because with the thing that they did with morale, I cannot talk today. My goodness. But the thing that they did with morale that improved damage and limit break and all that stuff, I get that would be demoralizing. I think WoW does it, where if you have the best PvP gear, you just stomp people. And it's like when you're into PvP, at least in an instanced PvP, you want just to be skilled strategy based. I totally get that. Open worlds, a little different. I do like that element of Albion. I don't like that it's full drop loot all the time. That kind of like makes it so that you're really weighing how much gear you actually take out into PvP zones. And it's more about how many people are in your party versus the people ganking you. What if we get WoW style set bonuses, but only for gradable artifact gear? Artifact gear won't get any substats or materia, but you wear 2-3 of them for your ability to change. I mean, that could be something as well. Or they just have their own sets or be customizable. Like your artifact gear could be the most customizable, and that's like another grind. Again, the whole point of a grind is to show your progress over time. It's something to build towards, a reason to log on. It's not the only reason to ever log on, I'm not saying that, but that's That's what I looked forward to. Like when I was more into or starting in Albion, I really wanted my leatherworking up because the higher, or it's not leatherworking, but hide, being able to skinning. That's it. And I would look forward to getting online and watching that bar go up, watching the level go up. It was painful at times, but it's, at a certain threshold, you hit this level and then, and now I can get more gear, which means I get more drops, which means I get more experience, which means this is going to go faster. And then you keep going. You go even more, and then you get better gear, and it makes your carving or your skinning faster, which means you get more loot, which means you get more money. And it's like, I had these goals to log on to, and then when that stopped, I wasn't quite as interested in some of the others. I really want to get into wood chopping. I don't know why the wood calls to me. See, materia could also do Warframe style mutagens where you'll roll for a given set within a range. The higher the tier, the broader the number. Oh, that'd be cool too. I don't know. It's a dicey situation with RNG, right? Where people are. It depends on how the cost of it. If people were rolling on it, if it only got better over time, that would be kind of cool. But if you got like being able to put resources into it to re-roll, it would be nice to be able to keep rolling and then see how much it improves by a certain amount. I think if it only went up, you'd have people be a lot more in favor, and it gives some people something to complain about too. As contradictory as it sounds, I think people like to complain sometimes, or like having something to complain is a bonding event. People get to kind of commiserate together on how this thing sucked, or man, I got the worst luck rolling for my stats. It took me 10 more rolls than my friend, and my friend just got every single max roll that he could possibly get when he was making his gear. But it's those kind of stories, and that's something that Ryan and I agree about. Where it's just like, it's fun to have those things to look back on. Like they had a emerald weapon, and that was the bane of their mount farming existence, because it didn't drop for hundreds of runs. After everybody was basically done, it finally dropped or whatever. Or it took over 100 runs for them to see a single mount drop. And that is burned into their memory. Was that a crappy experience? Probably, but they also have a story now that they share together. It's an experience that they have together. Devs could make it so only the latest content dropped. This is a guaranteed of something in the RNG. Oh yeah, that might work. Apply this to P8S drops, and the floor of the range goes from 1 to 100 to 80 to 100. Yeah, I could see that. Oh, that's actually some good thinking there. Hopefully one of the devs sees this and is interested in it. Just ways to make it different, ways to make it interesting. Just there are things that they can do with it, because right now it just I'm getting to the point where I had like an existential crisis this one time when I was playing 11, because I was like, why am I playing? It's like to get the best gear, right? Yeah, but so it's to do the best content. Why am I doing the best content? Well, it's to get the best gear. It's like, and then you're just kind of in this loop, and it's like, why am I doing this? And I mean, it's simple. Like for an MMO, it's a weird thing, because it's always you're looking forward to the next update. Whereas most other games are, you buy it, you beat it, right? You get the gear to beat the game. Whereas this one, it's like there's no end. You're stuck. you're trapped here. Materia, they can also turn it into a crystal-like inventory system. You don't use 1 to 12 materia, or 112 materia. You use 54 critical materia to meld critical to your gear. Yeah, I mean, if we kept that kind of the idea for today's discussion has been to avoid stuff that affects that. 'Cause people are always going to go to crit. You know why? Because they love seeing those numbers. I would like to see crit chance built into kits a little bit more, because those are feel-good numbers, right? And doing certain things, doing a rotation this way, or having this much gauge into a into a skill ups your crit rate or crit damage number. See the crap Pokemon fans do to spice things up. I don't want to get into Pokemon right now because I have a lot of feelings about it. And there are people that are really enjoying Pokemon, and I'm not trying to ruin their enjoyment of it. But a $70 game with a $30 day one DLC, that's... Anyway, I'm starting. I'm sorry. Yosho Ranryu and it crits versus when it doesn't. Yeah, tell me about it. I know exactly what you mean. You know, playing so much will make it boring, or we'll make it old. So, and it's fine. I don't need 14 to engage me every second of every day. But I would like the things that I do engage with to feel fun while I'm doing it. You know what I mean? For the time that I am playing the game, I want to be having fun. And I just feel like the more that they've been taking certain feedback from players, some players, a certain group of players, it gets to be to the point where it's very samey. You know, like there's no resistance. You kind of even see it in the story sometimes. Like there's very little, like you still have antagonists and whatever, but it, like the more things go, it's like there's nothing to fight against. There's no challenge. It's okay to challenge players. It's okay to be challenged. And people like take it personally. I understand if people don't have the time to put towards certain things. I think that can be accommodated too, especially like over time. You know, you don't have time. I don't have time to, what was it? Like go into an ultimate, but maybe after all the strats have been figured out and at a later expansion, I can go back and do it. Or people that don't want to grind 50 runs of an EX just to get them out, wait an expansion or two, and then they go get them out when the drop rate is increased. You know? Well, I think we will call it there for now. I think we got some good ideas out there and some good some good discussion. Thank you guys for chiming in. Appreciate y'all. As always, I like the more people have been engaging as well, both here and in regular streams. If you are a viewer, feel free to lurk at any time. It's not a big deal to me, but I do enjoy seeing you guys. I do like talking with you guys. It is allowed. And if you have things that you want to bring up or ask questions about or whatever, feel free to do so. You can always @ me in the chat. I don't mind that. The community is still small enough where it's not overwhelming, so we can still do that and be safe and have a good time talking. Even if it's something that you disagree with or whatever, I enjoy having the discussion. I hope I don't come off too hard. Sometimes I do it for effect, so if I come off harsh or whatever, no, it's not personal. Just trying to keep the entertainment value up, but I'll try to still behave myself. In any case, remember to check out the Patreon, guys, if you want to support the channel, keep me going. I always appreciate that. $5 for early access, $10 for credits. You're naming the credits of the videos and director's cuts access. That's the playlist of all of them. You get that forever, no matter how long you support. And then if you are willing to wait a pretty long time, you can also get your artwork, your character drawn in the Nest style artwork at the $50 tier up there. Or just join our Patreon at the $20 tier. I don't kick anybody out after that, so that's kind of a one and done as well. Hang on. Metaboy's got an idea. One more idea, and then I'm going to cut this off. What is it? You better type fast. For everybody else, also check out, I'll get my sponsored stuff out of the way. Check out GamerSupps. This Friday is the Holy Sheet drop, and if you spend $50, you get free shipping by using code NEST. Every other time you get 10% off. You can do that anytime. Remember, wait for Fridays for certain drops if you want to see if they get anything new. Otherwise, yeah, that is the way to do it. Okay, you can only upgrade each slot of your gear by dumping materials into them that you get from Savage Raids and Tomestones. Yeah, like having something, I mean, it could be anything. It could be Occult Crescent stuff or Fates. Like having an asset, a material, right, that you can spend resources on to upgrade, or maybe this specific material for this skill, right, to upgrade things are from different forms of content, like lower level dungeons or Fates or Occult Crescent or Bazir and all that stuff and high-level dungeons, like EX trials, all that stuff. And then Howard Savage Rays and such don't drop gear. You can use gear you get in any expansion, automatically sync to that level. Okay, so kind of like a trade-off where you get upgradable gear, but the raids drop stuff to upgrade it rather than the gear itself. I could see something like that. I think still having a set is cool, at least visually, but I'm not against the idea, the concept of it, being able to get or have certain levels of upgrades from higher level content. I think that's perfectly fine. But anyway, I think that'll be it for today. If you guys have any comments, those of you watching here on YouTube, feel free to leave them. I enjoy the discussion. I like chatting with you guys. I like seeing what you guys have to say. Trying to stay more consistent with these podcast episodes. I know we're having a smaller start right now. I'm going to keep getting more people on as we go, because I know it's just it's hard for me to do this solo. But I still want to keep at it. Why not? And I've just been very busy getting the Call to Ascension stuff. Again, check that out, Call to Ascension on Kickstarter, or you can check out the videos that I posted and follow the Discord for updates. Should have a big one today, or not today, this next week, the end of the month. So with that being said, though, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Hope you have a great rest of your day, night, wherever you are. God bless you all, and we'll see you next time.